Today, we are cracking open the case file on ethical hacking. You can think of it like a digital detective story. You've got these experts, the good guys, whose whole job is to find security flaws before the criminals do. But how do you even tell the heroes from the villains in this world? Well, let's start right there.
So you've got two main players in this game. Over on the left, that's our hero, the white hat hacker. They have permission, they're on the payroll, and their goal is to find weaknesses so the company can fix them. And on the right, that's the villain, the black hat. They're breaking in illegally, maybe for money, maybe just to cause chaos. See the difference? It all boils down to two simple things: permission and motive.
Okay, here's the plan for our investigation today. First, we're going to look at the hacker's roadmap, the playbook that pretty much every hacker follows. Then, we'll really zoom in on those first two critical phases, reconnaissance and scanning. We'll even open up a detective's toolkit to see what they use, before we wrap it all up with why this stuff really matters. You know, every good detective has a process, right? And in ethical hacking, it's no different. There's a 5-step roadmap that lays out the entire attack, and each step builds directly on the one before it. And here it is, the whole playbook. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with reconnaissance and scanning. Those are the two we're focusing on today because they are the absolute foundation. They're all about gathering intelligence and figuring out the lay of the land. Only after all that work is done does an attacker even think about trying to gain access, stick around, and then, of course, cover their tracks. So let's dive right into phase 1, reconnaissance. Just think of this as the stakeout. Our digital detective is sitting in a car across the street, using binoculars, gathering all the clues they can from a distance. They're collecting publicly available info without ever tipping off the target that they're even being watched.
At its core, reconnaissance is just pure intelligence gathering. We're talking about digging through public records, checking out social media profiles, combing through company websites, anything to find stuff like employee names, what their emails look like, or what kind of tech a company is using. The goal here is to build a complete profile of the target's digital footprint before making a single move that might set off an alarm.
Okay, the stakeout is over. Now that our detective has some initial intel, it's time to get a little more hands-on. Welcome to phase 2, scanning. We're moving from just watching from afar to actually walking up to the building and, rattling the doorknobs to see what's open.
Yeah, unlike that quiet observation in phase 1, scanning is very active and super tool-heavy. A hacker is going to use specialized software to check for open ports, to map out the entire network, and to find any known security holes. It really is like checking every single door and window on a building just to see if one of them was left unlocked.
And when it comes to tools for this job, the most famous one, without a doubt, is Nmap. It's basically the digital detective's magnifying glass. It's this incredibly powerful, free tool that's the absolute standard for network discovery. It gives a hacker a super detailed map of exactly what they're up against. So what kind of clues are we talking about here? Well, Nmap is a gold mine. It tells you which computers are even online, what specific services each one is running, and even what operating system it's on. I mean, think about it. Finding out a server is running some ancient, unpatched version of Windows, that's a massive clue that points you directly to a list of potential vulnerabilities. It's like finding the original blueprints for the entire building. Okay, theory is one thing, but let's see what this actually looks like when the rubber meets the road. It's time to put Nmap to work and see what our digital detective actually finds when they point it at a target. This is the big question, isn't it? After all that prep work, what's the big aha moment? What's that one piece of evidence that could blow the whole case wide open? And boom, here it is. This is a simplified look at what Nmap might find. See that middle column, the one that says state? Seeing the word open next to a port, that's the jackpot. For example, that bottom one, port 3389, that's for remote desktop access. Finding that open is like finding a key to the server room just sitting on the doormat. Our detective just found not one, but 3 potential ways in. And that's really the bottom line here. Finding an open port is the digital version of walking up to a giant skyscraper and discovering one of the doors on the ground floor is just completely unlocked. It's a direct invitation for an attacker to come on in and try to gain access. So now that we've seen how an attacker finds their way in, let's bring it all home and talk about why understanding this is the absolute bedrock of building any kind of strong digital defense. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? You simply cannot defend your network effectively if you don't learn to see it the way an attacker does. Understanding how they do reconnaissance and scanning shows you exactly what you look like from the outside. It shines a big, bright spotlight on all your potential weak spots.
Let's be perfectly clear about this. A successful attack almost always starts with successful reconnaissance and scanning. These aren't just warm-up exercises. For an attacker, they are the single most critical steps in the entire process. So it just makes sense that understanding and defending against these first two phases is the most important thing you can possibly do.
And that brings us to the fundamental challenge, the core puzzle of all of cybersecurity. An attacker can poke and prod and scan all day long, just looking for that one single mistake, that one unlocked door. But the defender has to be perfect. They have to protect every single potential entry point all of the time. It really makes you think, doesn't it? In this constant digital cat and mouse game, who really has the upper hand?